This is Iowa Everywhere. And now, it's time for Two Guys Named Chris, powered by Fairway Meat and Grocery. This is Iowa Everywhere. For the fans.
What's up? Happy Thursday morning, and welcome to Two Guys Named Chris. My name is Chris Williams. I am joined, as always, by Chris Hassel in Florida. We have a lot to talk about today. Iowa State basketball on the road at Kansas this weekend. Iowa tips off tonight at 6 o'clock against Michigan. We have the NFL playoffs, and we have a lot of other things to get to. What's up, Hassel? How we doing?
Oh, big day for you. You're in your studio. Usually you come to us from your house.
Yeah, the wife took care of the kids this morning. Actually, I have to be up to Ames at 10 o'clock for some basketball interviews. So it was not physically possible to get from Bondurant to Ames in the amount of time I would have had. So I'm a third of the way there in Ankeny right now.
All right. Your lips are glistening, by the way. Did you just put some
I just put some Carmex on. You like it?
Yeah, a little too shiny for me, but
Told you. All right, I'm going to wear that down. We want to thank our sponsor, Fairway Meat and Grocery. Now, we got some feedback from the listeners, from the viewers about. So we did figure out where the pork butt is on a pig. You were concerned that the pork butt was the anus of a pig, and we found out actually when you eat ham, you're eating the anus, not the pork
ham,
butt.
From the guide, the Frank's guide on the cuts of pork there from Fairway that Matt Van Winkle has put up for us, we see that the pork butt is actually near the head of the pig. There are a lot of people that are very upset with us that we didn't know that the butt wasn't actually the butt. Like,
how would we know that?
Well, I don't. People. Well, Fairway sponsors your show, and you don't know that the butt isn't the ass.
I got that. They're like, well, how can you promote Fairway and Iowa pork producers for Cyclones Fanatic and not know where the pork butt is? And it's like, well, here's the deal. I consume the pork. I love the pork, and I encourage other people to consume the pork, but I don't cut up the pork. I'm not the butcher.
No. So now anytime you have ham, just know that you're also the ham is basically the sphincter.
Yeah.
Basically that's what we've learned. Okay? So when you have ham, maybe it's for Thanksgiving, Christmas, just know you're eating the pork's ass. You're eating that pig's anal canal.
Right there. That's it.
Smithfield pork shoulder,
man.
butt roast.
That is a good.
So why do they call it pork butt if it's not the butt?
All I know is this: we have a lot of great Iowa farmers and pork producers who are listening to the program, and they will let us know. We have a lot of
definitely
young, cool, hip farmers who listen to the show. Mm-hmm. They will let us know.
All right,
but don't get defensive,
I'm glad we got that figured out. So so don't come back at us and then tell us that ham isn't the sphincter, because the ham clearly from that diagram, the ham is the ass.
English chimes in on YouTube. That circular bone in the ham steak is never going to look the same again.
What do you think that circular bone is?
One other piece from a listener, and you texted me about this in the middle of the night. One Pride Hawkeye says, hey, Williams, they talk about the Villisca Axe murder house on Joe Rogan for a good 40 minutes the other day.
Interesting.
We're going to do a show from there at some point. We will do a show from the Axe murder house. Here's the problem. There's two issues that I see. Yeah. One, there's no electricity in the Axe murder house. So we're going to have to bring a generator.
Why is there no electricity? Because they want to keep it like it was 100 years ago?
Yes. Two, if you know anything about spirits, oftentimes what they will do, so like if you have like a camera, like when you were a photographer, right? And you walk around with the big camera on your shoulder.
Yeah.
Oftentimes the spirits will take the energy from the battery in the camera and suck it out into their spirit. So I concerned about computer life and the equipment when
So
we're in.
they'll suck the energy right out of my iPhone. Maybe that's why my iPhone is always dying so fast. Like when you first get it, the charge holds for a long time, but I guess it hasn't been around any ghosts or spirits.
Apparently.
Is there a difference between a ghost and a spirit?
No, I mean it's kind of like the loose meat sandwich versus sloppy Joe. A ghost is a type of spirit.
Jesus, we're talking about pig, sphincter, and ghosts to start this show. This really has turned into one guy named Chris, and it's you.
All right, let's move on. Iowa State basketball, they get the honors today after that ass whooping of Texas Tech on Tuesday night. I was there courtside, Hassel. I think I texted you halfway through. I was like, I think this team might be good. Not to be disrespectful to them. It's just you kind of thought you knew what this team was. Like, oh, really tough defense. You hope that they can make some threes every once in a while. Well, all of a sudden, they are, during Big 12 play, the second-ranked offense in the best league in the country. Their KenPom offensive metrics have moved up into the 70s, and they have a massive game at Kansas coming up on Saturday, man. This is a hell of a run this team is on right now.
Yeah, I that line was, 9 or so, and I thought, geez, that's a lot of points for two really good defensive teams, and Texas Tech had been, they were 0-3 in conference, but all three of those losses were really tight.
Yeah.
They played their opponents all the way to the wire,
including Kansas.
And they had to feel like this was a game that they could start to get on track maybe a little bit, with Iowa State feeling great about the 3-0 start. Jeez, at the end of that first half, it just the switch flipped for them. And Gabe Kalsher, he took that momentum from the buzzer beater and just if he plays half as good as he did on the offensive end in that game, Iowa State is going to be a really tough out this season.
Yeah, and Caleb Grill too. I mean, both of those guys were. It's just I guess Kalsher wasn't a role player last year. He was more than that, but Caleb has always kind of been that. And now you look at him, and he's a really good college basketball player. Like he's taken that jump, and Gabe has taken the jump from being a good college basketball player to first team all Big 12 type of guy.
There's still people in my mentions on Twitter that are trying to say that Kalsher isn't that good of a player. I tweeted out after the buzzer beater over the weekend a tweet that I made right when Iowa State got Kalsher, which was 2 years ago, when TJ had just taken over. They had like 3 or 4 players on the roster. Kalsher comes, and I said, this is a big get for Iowa State. And there were so many Iowa fans in the mentions that were like, he sucks, he's terrible, he can't shoot. And still some that come in after I put the receipts up that say, hey, he can't shoot, 30% 3-point. That's not the point. That's not his game. Like, that's extra. If he does that, he's an elite defender.
Yeah.
He's one of the top defenders, not just in the conference, but in the country. That's his game. You get those shots from him, then it's totally different. And I also had some people in my mentions the other night when I said Iowa State's 4-0 in the best and deepest conference in the country. There were also people arguing that. There's no argument. The Big 12 is the best conference in the country. The Big 12 is the deepest conference in the country. There's no argument there. There's no. You cannot say. Well, somebody tried to say the Big 10 is deeper. What? Big 10 has more teams. But Iowa State, each and every night, is going to have to play a team that might be a tournament team.
Well, the projections right now, and it may have changed last night after West Virginia lost, but all the projections from Jerry Palm at CBS and from Lenardi, all have 9 of the Big 12. That's 90% of the league. So there's literally not like a night off. Like the night off is Texas Tech right now, according to that, which is not a night off. If you watched them the other night, they didn't look very good. But I'll say this: I've watched about every game TJ's coached as a head coach. I've never seen one of his teams playing with this much confidence, and that includes the South Dakota State teams with Jack Dahm or Mike Dahm back in the day. They're flying around. They're even Kalsher. I was talking with a couple people yesterday. Like, it's weird, Chris, when a guy gets in like that zone, even his passes are more crisp. Like his first step is quicker. He's not thinking about anything. He's just reacting. Gabe's a thinker. Gabe generally has struggled when he thinks too much on the floor. He's not doing any of that. He's taking command of this team. From what I understand, he's a great teammate now. Not that he ever wasn't, but he's like really excelling at that behind the scenes. Having said that, I still think this team will have a hiccup. There's going to be some bumps in the road here, and it could start now because you got this Kansas-Texas stretch. We will see. But they've built up such a nice cushion with this 4-0 start that you have to feel really good about not only their NCAA tournament chances, but to get a top 4 or 5 seed right now.
And if you do that, you can play in Des Moines, correct?
Should. I mean, it's not a guarantee.
But it's possible.
There's a very good chance they would be at Wells Fargo Arena.
I mean, you started this thing off by asking, okay, Are we believing now that this team is legit, like a legit, maybe even contender in the Big 12 to win it? I don't know. I'm gonna hold off until these next 2 games.
Yeah, I don't think you can say they're to win the Big 12.
If they win one of these next 2 games, they're gonna be in a great spot. You got 2 top 10 teams. You got to go on the road to Kansas. That's gonna be the real barometer, I think. On the road. Fog Allen, defending champs. Kansas has won 26 of the last 27 games, dating back to last season.
Mm-hmm.
They got a real scare the other night at home where they looked like they were going to lose. And they come from, I think, 9 down late in that game to win it. So we'll see how they respond after that as well. I'm not expecting Iowa State to have a chance to win that game in the final minute. I'm just not. I think Kansas is going to punch Iowa State, and we're looking at the matchup predictor from ESPN's analytics gives Kansas a 70% chance to win. Do we have a line on that game yet?
No, we won't have a line until tomorrow.
What would you expect? Kansas -6?
Yeah, maybe even 7.
Mm-hmm.
Let me.
Kansas is legit. Like, they were close to being the number 1 ranked team.
I
in
would
the country.
say 7 or 8. Looking at the KenPom right now, KenPom has it 69-62 in favor of Kansas. So give Fog Allen another point. Yeah. The only thing is that this team generally plays okay on the road. So I let me ask you this, because I was driving home from Ames and I was listening to that game and I had conflicted thoughts. Because there was like, wow, it'd be really nice if Kansas could get a loss in the Big 12.
Uh-huh. Yeah, if you're looking at
standings,
winning a Big 12 championship.
But then I was also like, well, it'd be kind of fun to have these 2 teams 4-0. And also, I don't know if I want their wake-up call to come right before I was like, what are the chances they're going to lose 2 in a row?
I'd hate that. Yeah, I'd hate that.
Right.
Right now, the Big 12 standings are extremely top-heavy. Like, there are teams taking lumps at the bottom like Texas Tech. And then you got Kansas, Kansas State, Iowa State, all unbeaten with Texas at 3-1. Those are the only 4 teams that right now are above 500.
I have no idea if this is a good play or not, but if you're gambling on the Big 12, I would almost blindly just take underdogs right now. Just take points. It just feels like that this league's going to be like that night. Like last night, like Baylor, was Scott Drew really going to start off 0-4?
Mm-hmm.
Right? And they go in and pretty handily beat West Virginia. West Virginia made a nice little run towards the end. But there's just I don't know. It's like Oklahoma is at 1-3, but they almost just won in Allen Fieldhouse.
Mm-hmm.
TCU is the best 2-2 team in the country as far as a conference record goes. Like they should have won last night.
Yeah, and they probably should have. Well, they could have won against Iowa State. That was close down the stretch.
Well, and that's the thing too.
You don't hit that shot. Kalsher doesn't hit that shot. TCU wins the game.
Iowa State's 4-0. You're 2 inches away from being 2-2.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So, and that really wouldn't change how the team played differently at all. It's just how close this thing is right now.
Hey, how are fans feeling about the old ESPN Plus?
That's where I was going to go with this too. You've got these two programs. I don't know if I call them rivals, but they've duked it out a lot over the last decade. Kansas and they're both 4-0. I don't think Kansas would consider Iowa State a rival. Maybe. Just because they go back to the Big Eight. They've played each other a really long time, whatever. Top 15 matchup, and this thing's locked in on ESPN+. It's just, to me, it doesn't really impact me. Last week's game was on ESPNU. I thought I was watching ESPN+. I didn't even know the difference because the way I have my TV set up, like I just turn it on, and it's like, oh, here's the game, and I click it.
Right.
The problem is you've just got millions of sports fans across the country who aren't going to even know it's on because they're going to turn on their TVs and they're not going to seek it out because maybe they don't have an ESPN Plus subscription. That sucks for the Big 12. I mean, this theoretically could be your two best teams and you're locking it out from like 7/8 of the country.
But this is the deal they signed, and this is exactly what ESPN wants. And that's why they locked it in before the season, because they know there's going to be a lot of fans out there that want to watch this game. They might have to buy a subscription for a month just to watch this game. Because maybe you can let an Iowa State Texas Tech game go and not buy it for that. But Iowa State Kansas, there's going to be a lot of people, I think, that will buy it just because of this. And you can just do a monthly thing. I mean, it doesn't have to be a year. But this is, some people are arguing like, oh my God, why would ESPN do this? You got to move it to ESPN or ESPN2. No, this is what they want. This is exactly how they drew it up. Now, the quality goes way down on ESPN Plus. I'm sorry, it does. It's disappointing. Like the other night, the play-by-play guy, you were at the game, so you didn't watch it on TV. But the play-by-play guy kept calling Oshun. Kept saying Oshuna hee. He was like, Oshuna hee, and there's Oshuna hee. Like what? Come on. It's just that there's not as many I don't have a problem if you're going to do that. If you're going to push a marquee game to ESPN Plus, but this better have some good quality to it. Like, legit announcers, a legit crew for Iowa State, Kansas. Because I don't have a problem with it if you're going to do that. I do have a problem with Big 12 games, Iowa State, Texas Tech. I'm sorry, it was not a good production that I watched.
Yeah, and they've been doing this for years. I mean, this is like the third or fourth year an Iowa State Kansas game has been on ESPN Plus. And you're right, it's set up for this because I mean, who are the two most rabid basketball fan bases in the Big 12?
Right there.
Yeah, I mean they're doing this on purpose. I mean, Kansas was on ESPN Plus last week with their game at West Virginia. Again, because they know it's a national brand and these people are going to sign up for it. I mean, I get it, but you're right on the production. I mean, and we've seen this specifically in football where they can't do replays the same way. They can't review.
Maddening.
And they'll miss calls because there's not the same type of production.
At the same time, Chris, I'll say that some of those ESPNU broadcasts are very similar, and they're spread so thin sometimes that it does make a difference sometimes to a game outcome if a game is on ESPN or a game is on ESPN Plus, because you're right, they don't have the cameras, they don't have the technology. They don't have the best crews. It's as a fan, it's disappointing. It is, and it's also, you know what they're doing. They're just trying to make another buck.
I don't even care. if this was a game, if Iowa State was 1-3, it would be like whatever to me. I wish there was some, jurisdiction on the game. Like, oh, well, this is all of a sudden. I mean, if they re-rank the teams right now after Tuesday night, Iowa State would be in the top 10. This would be like two top 10 teams playing for first place in the Big 12, and we're going to leave it there. They should be able to like pivot. All right, we're going to move West Virginia, Oklahoma State to plus and move the Iowa State Kansas game to ESPN. They should be able to do that. I know that they can't, and I know that they won't, but that to me would be a really good, really good solution to this going forward. Because probably when they scheduled this, I doubt that they thought that Iowa State would be in the top 15.
Right, but they knew that Kansas would be, and so that's why it was scheduled there. The game on ESPN, because it's 4:00 Eastern, correct? 3 Central.
Yeah, it's like the prime time on a Saturday afternoon for college basketball.
And I think the game there's not another Big 12 game in that window, so it's not like they chose a Big 12 game over that.
SEC game.
Well, it's LSU at Alabama. Alabama's really good.
Yeah,
they just won at Arkansas. So Alabama's 4th in the country. LSU is okay. And then on ESPN2, it's Virginia at Florida State. And Florida State I think they started like 0-9.
Yeah, it was historic.
Virginia's ranked 13th. Like, it's not. So those are the two games. Over on ESPNU, it's Cincinnati at SMU.
It sucks. Regardless, Iowa plays Michigan tonight. The Hawkeyes have won 2 in a row, feeling pretty good about themselves. It feels like an important stretch here for Iowa, though. It's like you fought back, you got back into this thing. Now you got 3 home games in a row. We still haven't heard any update on Patrick McCaffrey, right? I'm assuming he's going to be out until we hear further.
He hasn't said if he's any closer to coming back or if he's doing any better. He tweeted, but it wasn't. It was basically just support of his teammates and that sort of thing.
4-point favorite via Circa tonight. Iowa is over Michigan. 6:00 tip. This one is on ESPN. Right now, Chris Hassel. You have to project the rest of the season. Last week, we didn't think Iowa was a tournament team. Do we now?
I feel like right now they are. They have 4 quad 1 wins. That one loss against Eastern Illinois really hurts, but I feel like they have enough good wins right now that they are, and if they take care of business at home, they are. But it's close. It's really close. I haven't looked at like if Jerry Palm has them in his bracketology or Lenardi.
Palm hadn't done one in like a week, so he had them out. Lenardi had them, I think, first 4 out. After
they're right on the edge right now.
Yeah. But you win 3 in a row here at home and
you're sitting pretty.
Yeah.
Michigan,
Iowa State's running the table like they are.
Yeah, that really helps Iowa's resume for sure. Yeah. Michigan's coming in off a loss at Michigan State. They got off to a tough start this season, losing in non-conference to Arizona State, Virginia, and Kentucky. They lost to Kentucky, and Kentucky's bad. Mm-hmm. They also lost to Central Michigan. So this would be, as of right now, if Iowa loses this game, it would be a quad 3 loss. I don't think it'll stay that way. I think Michigan will move up. Michigan's 3-1 in the Big Ten. And right now it would be a quad 3 loss because of how bad Michigan's non-conference was. So it's a game analytics-wise that you feel like you need to get tonight. But I don't know. I don't think Iowa gets all 3, but I think you have to expect 2 out of 3 at home in this stretch.
If they
this
get
Iowa
team, back it up. That's 4 of 5 dating back to last Thursday. You'd take
and
that.
I think you'd be happy. Yeah. Michigan, Maryland, Northwestern. And then you go on the road to Ohio State and Michigan State. Those will be tough. So I think you got to get 2 out of 3 here against unranked teams. But Iowa, like, they've been a team where this season, every time you think you kind of know them, they weave the other way. Like something bad happens. Like you think, oh my God, okay, they beat Seton Hall. They win at Seton Hall. They beat Clemson, and then they have a real stinker against TCU. And then they look great against Georgia Tech. You think the Duke game's going to be good, and Duke wipes the floor with them. Then they lose Chris Murray. They come home against Iowa State, and they just play their best game of the year. Well, until maybe the Rutgers game. Beat Iowa State by 19. Wisconsin comes in, and Wisconsin wins. Right? I mean, and then you think they're done, and they come from 21 down to beat Indiana, and then they handle Rutgers from start to finish. It's like, so I don't think you can expect anything from this team. I don't know what to expect tonight. The line's only 4-5. I think it should be an interesting game and a really big game for Iowa to stay on track. Those 2 wins were great. Got them right back in the tournament discussion. But you lose this, and we're right back to talking about a team that has a lot of work to do.
It feels like to me that Sanfort's kind of the key here.
Yeah, boy, he was unbelievable in that Rutgers game. And that could be the Gabe Kalsher thing. You know, he hits that 3 against TCU, and all of a sudden he's feeling great about his shot, and he keeps it going. Is Sanford going to keep it going? If he does, Iowa's a totally different team.
Yeah. Feels that way to me, too. He hasn't shown the consistency yet. Now, he's very young to be like one of the – he's always just kind of – it's kind of the Caleb Grill thing, right? Like, Grill used to pop up and have a big game every now and then, but you could never really count on it. Like, can you count on Sanford?
Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't count on him right now, but I think he's going to be better than he was to start the season, which was he was a liability out there. Because if he's not making threes, what's he doing out there? But now without Patrick McCaffrey for who knows how long, got to have him. Now they're 2-0 without McCaffrey.
Brandon's watching us on YouTube, and he's pointing out that the line is now -6. I have not seen that. Last thing I did last night before I went to bed, it was 4. So
I see it at 5 on the ESPN's website, but it's definitely moving.
All right, well, it'll be an interesting weekend. 3 home games for Iowa. Again, Iowa State on the road. And then next week, Tuesday night. You sure you don't want to fly up to Des Moines for the Texas game on Tuesday? I have a feeling that one's going to be a little bit emotional.
I would love to be there for that.
I can't wait.
I'd love it. And there's no more Beard. He's gone.
Yeah, that kind of takes a little bit away from it. But the love lost between – Gabe Kalsher was – do you remember that video Iowa State basketball put out over the summer? Kalsher was already talking about Tyrese Hunter's return.
What did he say?
Something like they're asking him about defense or something like that, and somebody's going to listen and they'll tell us the whole thing, but it was something about how he had.
I got the video. Hang on.
Oh, you got the video, Matt? Look at this crack reporting
the big bucks
by Maddie Van Winkle. I asked a couple of Iowa State players just like off the record the other night. I was like, and they were following TJ's lead and not even thinking about it. We're on to Kansas, and I totally believe them that that's the case. But I also think that once Saturday's over with, that they will be playing for something extra on Tuesday night. They're human beings. How do you not? You got it, Maddie? This is Gabe Kalsher, and he's like shooting hoops, and this was like the Cyclones TV or whatever they're branded as now, the Iowa State media, and they were filming
This is Walter's thing.
Oh, sorry, did you not see it?
No.
See
What? Oh, what's going on?
What game y'all looking forward to besides Iowa?
Texas. Texas. You know why Texas? I ain't even got to say it, but Texas.
Yeah. What game y'all looking forward to besides Iowa?
Yeah, that was Kalsher. And they put it up. So I can't wait. I'm gonna get there like 3 hours early on Tuesday. Just be sitting there. Yeah. Shout out to our friends at Circa Sports Iowa, planning our next trip. We'll give you guys details coming up. We're going to be out there at a big time sporting event. I can't wait. Had a blast following along with the Circa Million and the Circa Survivor contests as they came to a close last week with the NFL season. And here we go. We are going to test our NFL gambling knowledge. Hassel. This is what we're doing here on Two Guys Named Chris. From here until the Super Bowl, Hassel and I are both going to predict every game against the spread with Circa lines, and then we are going to add them up at the end of the playoffs. Are you ready?
All right, let's do it. Let's go. Let's get a little competition going between us.
Yes. Matt, do you have the games pulled up? If not, I can run through them. It's no big deal. We'll start with the Vikings, a home 3-point favorite against the Giants. I respectfully declined the invitation from Dave Zawolensky to go to the game. I don't know if Dave listens to the show or not. I was very respectful.
I haven't heard anything from him. I don't think he heard that we were basically giving him crap on the show the other day, but I think that was the right decision. You do not want to be with Dave Zawolensky decked out in Giants gear at the Vikings game.
This is an interesting game. Vikings, everybody will pick against them. The Giants almost beat them there a couple weeks ago. Wasn't that long.
Yeah, Vikings had a 61-yard field goal.
Yeah,
to win it.
The Giants are like 2-5. I think in their last 7 games. It's not like they're exactly setting the world on fire.
That's the thing. If you want to fade the Vikings, you're also picking the Giants, who aren't a world beater.
I hate the Vikings as much as I love them. But I'm going to pick them here. I'm going to play them at -3. I think they win by 6 or 7. I actually think the fact that they played a few weeks ago in that same stadium, they're coming back. I actually think that favors the Vikings in a weird way. They both rested starters last week. Vikings guys got a few reps against the Bears, but I'll play the Vikings. Vikings win this one by 6.
Okay, I am on the other side of this. I'm going to trust my friend Pete Prisco over at CBS, who's been covering the league for 30+ years. He thinks that this is a great matchup for the Giants. He thinks they just match up really well against Minnesota and that they should have won that game when they played a few weeks ago. I'm going to fade the Vikings and their postseason failures and Kirk Cousins. I'm going to take the Giants to win outright.
That's a good pick. I can't argue with you at all. That's probably the right way on the air. Now we've got the Seahawks. 9.5. They're getting 9.5
What's
against
going on
the
there? You got
Luch
somebody
just
break
walked in. He didn't know I was on the air here. It's Hassel. Yeah. Luch says go Cowboys. Big Cowboys fan. We'll get to that game. I'm actually going to play the Seahawks at 9.5. Divisional underdog, playoffs. I feel like the public is all going to bet on the 49ers here, which is fine. Like, I can't blame you. They may be the best team. But again, it's the divisional thing. For these divisional underdogs, you generally like to play at any point during the regular season. So give me the 9. I wish this was at 10. But the fact that it has gone down to 9.5 tells me that the smart people are playing the Seahawks. So I'll take the points here.
Yeah, it is interesting. Every single one of these Super Wildcard Weekend games is a rematch from the regular season, and several of them are third meetings because they're divisional matchups like this one. And when you look at the quarterbacks in the NFC, it's wild. It's Tom Brady, and then like nobody else has done anything in the postseason. Because even the guys like Dak Prescott, what has he won? One playoff game, I think. This is Geno Smith against Brock Purdy. Geno Smith has a lot more games under his belt than Brock Purdy. We don't know how he's going to be in the postseason, but the 49ers are so much better than the Seahawks.
You're right.
I think the 49ers are the best team in the NFC. I think they're going to come out of the NFC, and I feel like even if the Seahawks keep it close, the 49ers are so explosive that they could cover this late anyway. So I'm going to lay the 9.5 with the Niners and think that they win by double digits. I'm just going to roll with the hot team.
Just for what it's worth, last night I placed a teaser at Circa where I played the 49ers, I played the Bills, and I played the Bengals, and I took the 6 points on all of them to get those things knocked down. So I don't disagree with you at all. I think the 49ers will win the game, but I'll take the points there. Down in your neck of the woods, in Florida, Jaguars are 2-point home favorites.
Yeah, it's only about a 7-hour drive up north to Jacksonville from here.
It's in Florida. You know what I mean. They're taking on the Chargers. I'll let you go first here. I'm really excited for this game.
This is a really interesting game.
Fun game.
Quarterbacks, just two young guns in Lawrence and Herbert. Jacksonville's hot. Chargers have been shaky at times. I just feel like the Chargers are more ready for this than Jacksonville is. I think the Jags are maybe a year ahead of schedule. I'm going to take the Chargers to win this game. I'm going to go with the road team here. I don't feel great about this pick, but I just feel like they're the more complete team, the team that's more ready. I think they were ready last year if they would have gotten in the playoffs to win a playoff game. This year they're in, and I think they're going to advance.
It's pretty funny. So we're 0-3 against one another right now. We're total opposites. I'm going to go the Jags here. Just defense, like they're a pretty well-rounded team. I mean, I'm actually more worried about their offense than I am their defense in this one. I'm going to take the home team and the 2 points. Why the hell not? I think
they played back. I think it was week 3, and Jacksonville smoked them 38-10. But I don't think the Chargers had Keenan Allen in that game. I think Herbert was a little banged up. But like I said, I don't feel great about the Chargers pick, but I am going to take them to win this game.
Bills are 12.5-point favorites against the Tua-less Dolphins. And this is maybe the most difficult game, I think, to pick because this is such a big number in the playoffs especially against the divisional foe, even with the backup quarterback. The fact that the number is so high, I always say this, there's a reason the number is that high. I will take Buffalo here by 14.
Okay. I thought you were going to go Dolphins there.
My gut tells me to take the Dolphins and take the divisional underdog again. But again, why is this number this high? It's 13 in a lot of shops. I'll take the Bills.
Yeah, we agree for the first time here. The Dolphins don't have a chance in the world with Skylar Thompson. Teddy Bridgewater maybe changes things a little bit, but come on. This is a bad matchup here, and the Bills are going to roll. I'm laying the 12.5 with Buffalo. This is a blowout. This is a snooze fest.
Another tough one, I think, is the Bengals laying 8.5 against the Ravens. It just feels like this number is really, really sharp. We don't exactly know what's going on quarterback-wise with the Ravens, which is clearly a really big deal if they have Lamar Jackson or not. What's your pick here? This is tough.
I feel like even if Lamar does play, he hasn't played in over a month. He's really banged. He's got that PCL thing going on. That's going to limit his mobility. But the Ravens, they've got a really good defense. And again, divisional game. Is it going to be a 2-score game?
I'll tell you that. I'm going to take the points. Bengals
this
win.
This is the toughest one for me. I'm going to take the points as well. I'll take the Ravens plus 8.5.
The Bengals, for what it's worth, if you had just bet the Bengals like all of last year in the playoffs, you would have won all the time. Like they've been covering machines.
They've been the best team against the spread this season too.
Yeah, Vegas cannot get a handle on this team. So if you want to go with trends, play the Bengals. And then finally, for what it's worth, I bet the Bengals on Sunday when this line came out, and I got it at 6. So I'm feeling really good about that. I feel really good about that.
It's going up because each day goes by and Lamar Jackson's not at practice. Yeah. He's not practicing.
I also played this one on Sunday night. I told you about this on Monday. I played the Bucks at +3. I'm glad I got them then against the Cowboys. The line now via Circa is 2.5 for the home team, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Hey, there's part of me, Chris, the closer we get to kickoff for this one, I I'm going to take the points for what it's worth. But it's also like the Cowboys are coming off like a fairly embarrassing loss to Washington.
Yeah,
This might be a good spot to play the Cowboys, honestly. Like the closer we get to this game, the more I think that, because they're clearly a better roster than Tampa Bay is. You're really betting against Dak in the whole Cowboys thing in the playoffs if you take the Bucs here.
I'm just betting for Tom Brady here.
Yeah.
If Tom Brady is at home and he's getting points against an unproven team, Cowboys always seem to find a way in the postseason to blow it. I think this is a tough spot for Dallas to have, even with all those wins, having to go on the road against a losing team, and it just happens to be Tom Brady in what could be his last game. But if you're going to give me points, I think I would buy it up to 3, but I'll take the 2.5.
Okay. Are you excited about this group of games at all?
I think it's a lackluster group of games because no, I think Bucs Cowboys is. I think there's 3 games that are interesting, and it's the Bucs Cowboys, it's the Jags Chargers, and what's the other one? It's the games that have the lowest spreads.
Vikings
Giants. Yes. The other games, I'm not. It's the quarterback situations. I'm not intrigued. Like I don't think Geno Smith can lead the Seahawks to a victory, and you've got Lamar Jackson potentially out for the Ravens, and there's no Tua for the Dolphins. I just think a lot of these games lack intrigue because of the quarterback position, and I just don't think, especially in the case of the Ravens and the Dolphins, that these backup quarterbacks have any chance to get anything done.
Get on to the Circa Sports Iowa app. I had a guy, he came at my ass and says to me the other day, well, Williams, you're always talking about, their numbers are better. How the hell can the numbers be better? It depends on what side. Yeah, back off, all right? Let me explain. When I go onto FanDuel and it's like, oh, you want this number? You're going to have to lay minus 118.
Oh, I hate that.
You don't get that crap at Circa. They don't do that garbage.
Yeah, because the other places, they'll juice the hell out of you.
Correct. They're not doing that at Circa Sports Iowa. And they oftentimes they are giving you deals like if a line's going one way, they're going to keep it in one spot longer. And they can afford to do that because they're not doing these stupid promos constantly like, hey, if you do a 6-team parlay, we're going to give you a 33% boost. Yeah, they're doing that because they know you're going to lose.
Mm-hmm.
Circa Sports Iowa, download their app. I promise you will not regret it. Enough of that crap. You don't need all that peripheral crap. Just download and just play the game straight. That's how I like it.
Somebody came at your pork butt, huh?
Yeah. I had some guy was all up in my business wanting me to explain it because he thought that I was lying to the people. No, I'm not lying. Like if right now I would guess, and I haven't pulled up my Circa app, but like if they're leaning on a number, let's say they're leaning on the Bucs 2.5 right now, maybe they would get in. Where would that be at 2.5 or 3? Maybe they'll give it to you at 105. Like, right? Like they're gonna do that and they're gonna take care of it in that sense. But they're not these stupid, minus 118, minus 170. They're not doing that garbage.
Look, and I have to deal a lot with offshore places a lot down here in Florida because they haven't legalized it. And you'll see where each side will be minus 120 juice.
Yeah.
No matter which side what?
They're screwing you.
And people that don't really know that they'll do it.
Yeah.
They'll get that. I mean, it's minus 110, minus 105. That's the juice. That's fine. Take it. But come on. If you're putting both sides at minus 115 or minus 120, that's BS.
A lot of spots do that.
Okay.
Download the Circa Sports Iowa app today. All right, a couple other things. Needed to check in with you since your wife's been gone. It looks like you're okay. Is the dog still alive? Have you been eating properly?
We've survived, but so here's, you see that you haven't, usually you see me drinking my coffee here during
What the hell is that?
So I only had like 3 ounces of coffee left in the cold brew jug this morning when I woke up.
Couldn't you make more?
I don't have a coffee maker. It's cold brew. and my wife buys it
Why don't you go to the grocery store and buy some more?
because I don't go to the grocery store. I haven't been to the grocery store other than going to Fairway when I was back in Iowa. I haven't been to the grocery store in years. It's all it's all the wife.
So what have you been eating?
So I'm not caffeinated today. I only had 3 ounces of coffee, and it was done before the show. Like I told you on Monday, I basically gave you the blueprint. I will have like a Chipotle for lunch, and then I'll have Jersey Mike's for dinner, and that's what I did. I'll have like a Chipotle. I'll get like a chicken bowl, and then at Jersey Mike I'll get like a roast beef sandwich for dinner, and then it's just I kind of go back and forth. Everything's ordered in, or I pick it up at the store. Like for instance, yesterday I picked something up at a sandwich shop nearby, but then for dinner I ordered from some salad place, and they delivered it. They upcharge you. You know, it's like $40 to get a salad delivered to your house.
Yeah.
But
I did that last night.
And now, you got something ordered in?
Well, for my daughters, because I had
'Cause a lot of people won't do that. Like Andy Fales, he's never used like Uber Eats or DoorDash or any of that stuff.
I do it all the time.
I do too, and I don't feel bad about it.
So my daughters, I had to take them both to get shots yesterday afternoon.
Oh, jeez.
You don't know.
Would they get the whooping cough vaccine?
You don't know hell until you take a 7 and 3-year-old to get shots together. My 3-year-old, I had to like physically restrain her. I'm like locking her legs in with my legs and holding her arms up like this. And she's kicking and screaming and F you, Dad. Like it is. So I had to bribe them that they would get Happy Meals.
Oh.
If they didn't act like idiots, and they still acted crazy, but I got them the Happy Meals anyways. Yeah, when you use like DoorDash and you literally Grubhub or whatever, like you get McDonald's, 2 Happy Meals is like $28.
It's terrible. The upcharge is terrible, but I'll pay it because I hate having to go out and get something unless it's like on my way, and I'll never go somewhere and stand in line to order it. Like when I go to Chipotle, I order ahead of time. So that son of a bitch is ready when I walk in. But you know what really pisses me off these days? These stores now, ever since COVID, some of these places refuse to put the order ahead stuff out on that shelf anymore. So you have to go up there to the counter and say like, where the hell is my meal? Like I see it back. I see a bunch of bags back there. They won't put it out, and I don't know if it's a COVID thing, still from COVID, or
you don't want to talk to people.
Well, no, I want to go in there. I want to look at the shelf and say, "Oh, Hassel, okay, pick it up, leave." But no, now I have to go. Now I have to stand in line behind the people that are also waiting for those bags. So I'm still having to stand in line. I'm still having to interact with somebody. And the other day I did that at Chipotle. And there's one woman that's working that whole thing for the online orders. She's making the food, putting it in a bag, and she's the one that has to go get the bag for you. So I was standing there. I could see my bag. I can see it. It's 3 feet away. But she won't even look at me. She won't even look at me because she's making another meal for somebody else. So I have to just stand there and wait for her to say, "May I help you?" And it took like 5 minutes for her to do something that I could have done myself. Put
and
the
you had
stuff
to talk
out
to
there.
her.
Yeah, it was horrible. It was horrible. Just, I don't know what I'm going to have to do. I'm going to have to find places that will put it out on the shelf because some places will put it out on a shelf, but Chipotle will not do that.
All right, we have 4 other topics to get to. We need to replay the burp. We need to talk about reply all etiquette, little urinals, and we need to guess where Hassel's going to be at calling games on Friday. First of all, little urinals. You need to. Why is this on our rundown?
Well, it was. They talked about it on the Murph and Andy show this week.
Like short ones?
Yes. So
Okay.
like you walk into a public restroom and there's like normal size urinals all the way across, and then at the
Yeah,
end there's
yeah.
like a little baby size urinal. Do you know what that urinal is for?
Little people or like
You're
kids.
right. Oh, no, you're wrong. It's not for kids. Most people think that little urinal's for kids.
Is it for midgets?
Well, you can't say that unless you're talking about the Estherville. What's that town? What's that town in Iowa that their nickname is the?
Oh God, yeah. Okay, little
You
people.
can't say that anymore. Yeah, little people. So apparently it's not for kids. It's for little people or people in wheelchairs.
It's funny because I always gravitate to the little one.
I do too. So the question on Murph and Andy was, if you go into a restroom and all the urinals are taken except for the little one, will you use the little one? Like that's never even been a like. Of course, I'm going to use the little, and that's the first one I go to.
Yeah.
So because the little urinal is the best because you don't feel any of the splashback. If there is any splashback, it's not coming up to your waist. It's going down low on your pants and you're not feeling it, or on your shoes, because sometimes there is splashback, but it doesn't affect you. You go to a big urinal, you start going to a bigger urinals, and that splashback starts moving up. Yeah, sometimes right at your hands, sometimes even higher onto your shirt.
It just feels like less work too, less pressure, because you can just literally shoot straight down. You don't have to worry about aiming higher.
Yep.
Right? It's just it's a much more pleasant urinating
I wish
experience.
Every public restroom had nothing but little urinals. In fact, just put a hole in the floor. Just put a hole in the floor.
Couldn't agree more. It's all pipes. They're all going to the same place.
What's the difference?
Reply all etiquette. You having a reply all issue at work?
Yeah, well, had to have a conversation with my co-anchor Amanda Guerra about this the other day, because
she seems very pleasant. By the way, you guys have good chemistry together. I enjoy watching the program.
She's great, but I would just like to know the etiquette for reply all. Like if there's 40 people and you're one of them on an email,
don't reply.
Let's just say it's like a congratulatory email. Okay, you guys did a great job. Do you reply all to basically say thanks?
Not to say thanks. If you have something to add to the conversation, like, hey, I really picked up on this and so did great work, and you're trying to recognize somebody, yes, you can do it. If you're saying thanks, no reply all.
Basically, what she did was just said thanks.
Yeah,
for the most part. It was nothing
inappropriate.
But then
inappropriate
because she did it, I had to do it too. She forced me into it. And that's what I said. I said, if you do it, then like everybody's going to feel like they have to do it too. And I get it. I want to say something too, but I also worry about, that there's people that like their pet peeve is the people that do the reply all, and it just fills up their inbox. And I guarantee you somebody was upset by this whole reply all chain. And then it's going to come back to us. And then I'm going to be the one that gets it, because I'm the one that has to go on the back end and reply all too. So I feel like there needs to be some kind of a real written out, like rules for reply all, like a certain number of people on the chain. And how many,
but not
this ended up being
there.
It ended up going to like 17 people replied all after that.
Doesn't it feel a little bit generational? Like the older you are, the more of a chance you're going to hit reply all.
Probably, because you don't think about what I'm thinking about. What I'm obsessing over is the person that is just really mad that their inbox is filling up with all these reply alls. And that's why. And I spent 3 hours after she did that, Chris. 3 hours trying to craft my reply all response. It ruined my whole night.
If you spend time on Facebook chronicling every move of your life, like, oh, I ate this for dinner, you have a higher chance to hit reply all. That type of guy.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? You know where I'm going.
Oh, yeah. So it was.
All right, Van Winkle, do you have
I would just like
the,
somebody to come out and give rules, steadfast rules, and we can all abide by them.
Yes, I do.
do you have the burp/cough?
Lions could
We got
beat the
so much
49ers.
feedback from
The
this. We need to
Seahawks-
re-listen to this.
Excuse me.
Did you just burp talk? Yeah.
The Lions could beat the 49ers. The Seahawks, excuse me, cannot.
Did you just burp talk?
No, I was cough talking. The Seahawks,
No, that sounded like a burp.
the Seahawks is not a burp. Van
You
Winkle cut
burped
it up.
while you were talking.
That was not a burp. I'm coughing.
Yes, it was.
No, so I know exactly what that is.
That's not a cough. Are you kidding me? That was a burp. You burp talked.
It was.
And we ran
I've
a
had
poll on
cold.
Iowa Everywhere, and the majority of people said that's a burp.
Yeah, because the majority of people are trolls and they're trying to get under my
No.
skin.
How could you
I've had a
try to
cold.
say that was a cough? No cough has ever sounded like that.
That was phlegm. It was clearly phlegm in my throat while I was talking. That's a cough. This is the same thing as loose meat, sloppy Joe. It's
No,
a
it's
form
not.
of
You
a
always
cough. When there's phlegm in there, it's a form of a cough. It's not technically
okay,
a cough, but it's part of one.
Unless you think a burp is a form of a cough, then you're wrong.
It wasn't a burp.
61% said it was a burp.
Oh, those
It's
people are
definitely a
wrong.
burp. The more I hear it now, and it's because I've got these headphones in, these great headphones that Van Wink told me to buy. I can hear it a lot better when I have these on than when we posted that and I was just listening off my phone. It was hard to tell. But if you get you put some headphones on, really turn it up, you can hear that burp seeping out.
Talking. The Seahawks.
It's phlegm.
There it is.
It's phlegm. It's not a burp.
Phlegm. Get out of here with that. You're
Where
wrong.
are you at? Do you have your first college basketball game? We will
Tomorrow.
watch.
It's tomorrow,
On a
pal.
Friday?
Yeah. It's odd. Do you know where I'm going? I told you where I was
I
going,
don't.
right? Wait.
No, you didn't tell me. Are you going to
Wait,
UAB?
So Simon Wilson in the comments knows exactly where I'm going somehow. Simon says, I'm going to guess Hassel will be in Athens, Ohio for Kent State at Ohio. I don't know how he knew
probably
that,
game
but
note.
that.
Probably some
It
game
mu-
notes out there.
What do you think?
Maybe
Simon's
the-
just Simon's going through all 200 game notes for games over the next couple days? No, he must have. Yeah, there must be some kind of Google. Maybe somebody tweeted about it. Yes, I'm going to Athens, Ohio. Kent State's really good. Kent State might be an at-large team in the tournament. They almost beat number 1 Houston. They were the leading Gonzaga in the second half. So they're at Ohio tomorrow night, and I've got that. I think it's 5:30 Central Time. It's an early tip.
Okay.
CBS
CBS Sports Network.
Yeah,
Okay.
5:30 Central. How about that?
Oh, I am going to bet on this game and watch you.
Yeah. And it
It's
should be
cool,
pretty
happy
close. I mean,
hour.
it's Ohio's at home. They've got a pretty good home court advantage. They're unbeaten at home this season, so it should be a good
Are you
matchup.
going to be doing any UAB games?
Well, it's funny you ask, Christopher, because next week I'm going to Birmingham,
Yeah. The voice of the
North
Blazers.
Texas, at UAB next Saturday. Simon, by the way, says he took a guess because it was the only game on CBS Sports Network tomorrow night. So well
Pretty
done,
strong
Simon.
guess.
Well done.
Pretty strong guess right there. All right. Well, it'll be an eventful weekend starting tonight with Iowa and Michigan. Iowa State on the road at Kansas on Saturday, and we will be back first thing on Monday morning to recap it all. There is a new Jared and Jabo in the feed. They recorded late last night. So for
Yeah, I
more of
saw
your
that they
college
were having all
basketball-
kinds of struggles with the time zones. Did you see
Apparently,
that?
Bohannon. I don't know the specifics. I do know that Stansberry went to record with Bohannon yesterday, and Bohannon failed to recognize that he was in a different time zone.
What is he traveling for the Iowa Energy?
Yeah, I think he's out west.
Or no, it's not the Iowa Energy anymore. It's the Wolves, right? You know that Keith Murphy can't say wolf?
What do you mean he can't say it?
He can't say wolf. He says woof. He says woof.
I love it. Van Winkle's playing the old NWO Wolfpack song right now.
He says wolf pack. My dad does the same thing. Yeah, my dad and Keith
can't
Murphy.
say orange. He says orange. He can't say orange. Orange.
Orange?
Orange.
There are so many things my dad says wrong. It's unbelievable. He puts a T on the end of every word that ends with an N.
Really?
He says Wisconsin. He says he's going to Walgreens to pick up his prescription. Yeah.
Does your
It's
dad say
unbelievable.
pert near like my dad does?
What? Say that again.
Pert near?
What's pert near?
Like when you, instead of saying like pretty close, you're like, oh, we're pert near the end of the show here.
Oh no! See that? I think your dad's got that like rural. He probably also says he's going to go wash his clothes.
Well, last year the
Does he say
Cyclones
wash?
pert near won in Lawrence. They can do it this year.
Pert near? I've never heard that before.
Oh yeah, that's a big deal.
Is that
Really
like
big.
pretty near? Like pretty near?
Yeah, pert near. Yep.
Orange?
You know, we go on down to the creek and we can go fishing.
Oh yeah, the crick. My dad says crick
Not a
too.
creek. Crick.
Yeah, crick. Does your dad say wash? My father-in-law says wash.
Wash, but there's a lot of washing going on down in Southwest Iowa. Yeah. Yeah.
Brain
I got to get
washing
out of here. I got to
at
get
the
up to
insane
Ames.
asylum. All right. The wolf pack.
One time I was waving at those academy kids, and one of them pert near jumped in my car and beat the hell out of me. Have a great weekend, guys. We appreciate
By the way, we
y'all.
need to start some merchandise, and we need to print some Clarinda Academy T-shirts. Oh, I'll buy one of those suckers.
Have a great weekend, guys. We appreciate it.